Hey Boise, this is Dr. Emily Scherning with American Resiliency here with a detailed county level climate outlook. We're going to be looking at projected changes for Ada County at 2 and 3C above baseline as we get ready for changing conditions in a warmer world. We'll talk about projected changes to temperature, precipitation, and fire risks and what that means for landscapes and utilities. Let's get rolling. Talking about heat first, you can see here in figure 2.11 of the NCA 5, the federal government's highest consensus document used for civic planning, that your area is expecting 30 more days over 95 at 2C. Let's drill down on that though, because there's a big difference between a day over 95 and a day over 105. To do that, we're going to go over to the NCA 5 Atlas so that you know where to go to check this out for yourself. Follow along with me. To get to the Atlas, you're going to want to start over at globalchange.gov, click on the Atlas, and scroll down a little bit so that you can access and customize the maps. Over in the Maps tab, we're going to pop out our change in number of days over 100 and our change in number of days over 105. You can see that for Ada County at 2C, we expect 16 additional days of those 30 days over 95 will be over 100. And at 3C, the heat will keep increasing. At 3C in Boise, you'd have 32 more days over 100 than you have now in the summers. Trying to get a preview at what you might expect in terms of Phoenix-like heat over 105. At 2C over pre-industrial baseline, you're expecting only 5 additional days over 105, and at 3C, an additional 14 days over 105. That's a serious heat up. That'll drive landscape transformation in your area. That is a real challenge right there, and it lets us know you need to build lasting heat resilience in Boise. You're moving towards a climate with significantly more extreme heat. That's a major challenge, and now we know the size of that challenge. Let's take a second and look at winter changes. Talking about cold, we're back in the NCA 5 document, looking at figure 2.11 again, where we can see you're losing 30 days below freezing, 30 days below 32 over in Boise at 2C. We can look at changes in winter intensity as well as winter duration through figure 11.3, which shows us changes in plant hardiness zones. I'm going to show you a snip in just a minute of our present day climate normals, projections for 2C and 3C. You can see in this close-up, you're looking at a big change at 2C, moving locally right in town into zone 9A. But look at this. This is exciting and unusual. Your plant hardiness zone right in town looks to be stable at 3C. So you've got potential for lasting change into a 9A landscape. If you can get the water, there's a lot of cool stuff you can grow in zone 9A. Let's look at those projected changes to precipitation. As an overview, I want to show you figure 210 in the NCA 5, which shows you've got a real shot at increased precipitation in Boise. Let's get another view on that in the NCA 5 Atlas and get some clear info focused right on Ada County. All right, that's not bad. We're confirming a mild increase in annual precipitation at 2, increasing to a 9% increase at 3. And I think that it's worth noting, you're also seeing larger changes, larger positive changes to precipitation upstream of you in the watershed. So a lot of good signs that water's heading your way. Now, this is a challenge because if we look at changing days with extreme precipitation, we see that rain is projected to come in lumps, where you're going to get big, heavy rain days increasing by 27% at 2C and 55% at 3C. To me, that risk highlights your need to be concerned about flooding and about water storage so that when you get a good rain, you can capture some of that water. But honestly, that level of risk is not too bad on the national change landscape. If you are in an area, though, where flooding is a particular problem, with flooding concerns on the rise, that is a problem where resilience building is a real challenge. If you're in the floodplain, it might be better to relocate to higher ground and build resilience there. I am also concerned that you're going to be getting so much more water as rain rather than as snowmelt. The loss of snowpack is projected to be a big risk for your state, though to be fair, the projected snowpack changes are milder for the mountains near you in the center of the state than anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest. Even so, even though you're not getting whacked as bad as many places in the region, those hydrological changes, they do lead us to concerns about wildfire. Let's check out that risk for Boise. Over here in figure 7.4 from the NCA 5, we can see that Boise is kind of on the edge of this high risk area. And when we move over to the projected change, that lighter color doesn't mean a decreased fire risk. It means a relatively mild increase of fire risk. Where you had been having, oh, maybe a day every 2 or 3 years where there was a real risk of a potential very large fire, it's looking like you're going to see a risk of a large fire maybe every year or two. So more serious red flag days. The increased risk around Boise is not as serious as the increased risk up in the Idaho Panhandle. I think a lot of the work that folks are already doing to build fire resilience in Boise is going to help carry you through into a strong future. Talking for a moment about the impact of all of this on the landscape, when we pull all this info together, we're talking about a pretty serious stress on the landscape. This transition to a hotter summer, the hydrological change, the very mild winter, they're all going to be tough on your current plants and landscapes. Zone 9A, your best drylands analogs are going to be in Arizona, California, and New Mexico. Those are seriously different landscapes, seriously different plants, and in a cultivated space, it's worth thinking that you have the potential for the kind of beautiful irrigated gardens people have been growing in the Middle East for thousands of years. I think in many ways, within the city of Boise, looking towards traditional Middle Eastern architectural cues for serious heat resilience, water storage, and garden design could be smart, interesting, and very beautiful moves. In this context, let's take just a minute to talk about concerns about grid stability in Idaho. Here, look at figure 5.2 from the NCA 5, and you can see Idaho is projected to need a lot more power in this future we're describing. More at 2 and then way more at 3. That means that for your security and your family's security, it's important to get power independence and important to have an ability to keep cool without air conditioning. That's part of why I think looking towards traditional architecture that's resilient to these type of conditions is a good idea. If the power goes out in a heat wave, you want to keep your family and your community safe. Between new sustainable energy technology and traditional heat solutions, we could pull together a solution that would work for Boise. Pulling it all together, this is a picture of serious change, but I think there's some comfort in learning the details because you've got work to do. That heat up is significant, but it looks like if you can pull things into shape, you've got more water coming and a stable winter low emerging. Your potential for sustainable irrigation in that Snake River watershed is very high. It'll take monitoring and responsible use, but if there's going to be more rain coming, Boise, you can do it. I'm rooting for you. We can prepare for what's coming. Let's get ready. This video was commissioned by HG80 Architecture. If you're looking to build resilience in place in Boise, these are the folks who can help you out with the heavy lifting. Let's get ready.